Welcome, everybody. I guess we've got a bunch of folks that are here already today. Is it time to call the order officially? Okay, all right. The time is now 12:05, and I'm going to put that in my notes. I am filling in for our president, Peter Iverson. So I'll be both taking notes and trying to run the meeting today. So let me know if I need to be asking for roles at any point. And welcome. So like I said, 12:05, call to order. Should we go around the room just to make sure that we've got everybody on the record who's present today? Okay, so my name is Melanie Veslige. I'm with the Monroe County Health Department.
And Penny Gibbons, County Commissioner.
Kathy Hewitt, Monroe County Health Department.
Patty Cummings, Deputy Prosecutor.
Karen Runback, Deputy Public Defender.
Sarah Larson.
Whitney Meeks from IRA and Nick Boyles from IRA.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. So the next thing that I have on my agenda is member announcements. So the thing that is listed is the SUDAC jail tour Friday, April 28th at 1:00 p.m. And also I see that Joni Stallcup is on Zoom. Thank you. So we've got our SUDAC jail tour on Friday, 28th. Are there any other details that we need to discuss about that? Has everybody in the room received an invitation for that? Okay, great. And then I guess open up the floor for any other member announcements.
Well, Kathy Hewitt had informed me about some extra programming that's going on, that the state is piloting a program in 5 counties in Indiana that is treatment related for individuals with substance use disorders. And so I called up to the state. This is just the first year it's been in existence. And it's been so successful, they feel that they're going to do a second round of pilot. They'll only have 3 counties in that program, but I said, we're very interested. We'd like to be on that list. It's through, I don't have my notes with me, of course.
Right now it's being done through Mental Health of America, but it's part of the program is they they pair up peer recovery coaches in the jail. When they're in the jail, if they say that they're interested in receiving those services, they team them up while they're jail, and they do the hub. Like when they release, they go into a hub, right, with services, like they start connecting them right up on from jail, like into treatment, into the services they need, into the other things. So they get help. They get help right there, and when they want it. So it sounds like a really terrific program.
And the woman I spoke with in Indianapolis indicated that they'd eventually like to roll this out to all 92 counties. But if we could get in on the ground floor, and she also was aware of the grant application that we put in with Nick and with Kathy and with Melanie and with others that we should hear about in 10 days for expanded stuff. But she said that she was part of the group that was looking at those. So she knows that we are already looking to expand what we're doing with regard to harm reduction here. So they will be holding they'll be having a program on May the 4th up at the Indiana Indiana Library, History Library, whatever. I can forward it. I'll give it to you. That they'll be talking about the program. I don't know how soon they'll release information about the second piloting, but it would start July 1st. So pretty quickly. And so they would go through their evaluation. So anyway, that would be really helpful for us. And I've told her that one of the reasons I'm really excited is that as we look to build a new jail, we would like to know what kind of treatment might be effective so that we can talk about putting in the space in the jail, like office space, for people to be there to work with those who are incarcerated for one reason or another. So I'm just really bummed. And this is all related to what Kathy said a lot. So I appreciate that.
It's all related to partnerships. So I heard it from another friend of mine, an old colleague. So who wanted to pass it along to make sure it got to the ears it needed to get to. So that's what partnerships do.
Hopefully this will mean other felons can then visit the jail to mentor. Do you know what I mean? Like if we can pull this in, that'd be a great vehicle for showing that people who have, old jargon.
It's supposed to be peer
Right.
coaches.
And we can sneak the, get that, or just say, look, most of these people who are gonna be able to relate to these peers have done time themselves, you know what I mean? And those people within respect and care, like for me, like we all speak the same language, I'd love to be able to do that. I think sounds wonderful.
Well, we might be calling on you for testimony. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll keep you apprised of what we hear.
It's a huge deal.
It is.
It is.
It is.
Big deal.
And if I remember correctly, each program was given $500,000.
Is there job placement afterwards, right? Like they walk out with job placement?
I don't think that was part of it.
Is that something we could do?
Okay, but we'll go on to that if we get this. Okay,
Really?
I know you're pumped too.
Really?
And I guess would I be correct for the public? It's called IRACS, IRACS, through the FSSA. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Are there any other folks here that have any member updates? If nobody, I've got a couple. Yes. Speaking like,
Okay, this is kind of a weird and not necessarily an announcement, but an issue we had that I thought I'd bring to you guys just because we got misquoted in the paper or misquoted in an article saying that the IRA had only ever picked up 708 syringes during the course of our 7-year history. So we're trying to get that redacted. So just thought if anybody read that article, understand that was gross. I don't know how that came to be, and we're just following along with getting.
I can explain that. I think it was Bloom Magazine did a recent article about, and that's where it was from, but it was about the health, one of the original questions was about our grant from the Health Fund of Greater Indianapolis that we get every year for to able to buy syringes or for you to buy syringes for the syringe service program. So that grant is $25,000 this last year.
Yeah.
So we were able to buy 265,000 needles. Then the other number, that's where that number's from. And the other number was 718, but that's the number of syringes that health department staff picked up last year after we got calls from residents. So residents will call us if they see an improperly disposed syringe, and we will go out and pick those up during staff hours. So that was the number that we picked up. Somebody got confused about the number and correlated that, but those were the only numbers that we picked up during staff hours for help from health department staff.
So I'll just talk to you about it later, I guess, but I'm gonna write Becky from Limestone Post and explain to her what those are. I don't know if you want to be a part of that or not, but that was my only announcement. Other than the IRA got the grants we wanted to, that we've been trying to get, so. We'll soon be placing different positions, and we now have a full-time Hep C liaison person in there who will soon have a peer tester with them. So this person is doing micro eliminations all over Bloomington. They started at Camp Hunt and they've already signed up 7 people for treatment. We've had 5 people use drugs since she's been there sign up for treatment out of the IRA. Like we can actually see some weight. So as soon as we get the tester person, because for some reason they made this job where the Hep C navigator can't test. I don't know why that is. But then there'll be an official tester person who's actually doing the testing and finding people. I don't have any doubts that we'll see drastically rising numbers of people getting into treatment. I mean, it's really a huge win. So
Congratulations.
we've been asking for it forever, so it's nice to finally come.
so thank you for that. Anybody else? I've got a couple. I was going to say that we have a job opening at the Monroe County Health Department for the harm reduction specialist. I do have copies of the job posting that I've sent around the room. This can also be found on the Monroe County Monroe County government website for employment opportunities. And let's see. I also wanted to pass it around. Maybe I didn't. I was working with my intern. We had done a couple of Narcan trainings with administrators and staff who are working with youth, and they were asking some different questions about, different types of substances than we had, the normal folks that we had been doing Narcan trainings with. So I had a survey. So if you are a person, either here in the room or at home, and you are interested in providing just like some feedback about things that you're curious about, would like some more resources on so that we can improve our resources, not that we can necessarily, depending on what training we can offer. But if you go to https://bit.ly/youth23, it's all uppercase. Otherwise it'll go to a skincare site. But we're just like looking to hear what questions that you have or what trends that you are curious about in the community. We'll also say that we installed another syringe disposal unit at Beacon Inc. This week. So we're just working with the health department to try and increase syringe disposal options that are in the community. And also hopefully we'll hear back about that opioid settlement match grant in a little bit over a week that some of the members on this body have been working on. Those are my updates that are not related to CHIP.
Is this the kiosk?
Yes,
Right,
that's the
okay.
kiosk, a big kiosk in the front. So it should be accessible
For us to.
for anybody to, yeah.
Blue.
And it's blue to
Yeah,
match
it's
the
Beacon
Beacon Inc.
blue.
Melanie?
They asked-
Melanie, can you put that flyer up on our website?
Yes, I can do that. And I guess I brought a couple of other things too. All sorts of resources. I also was hearing in the commissioners meeting, I think this week, the probation advisory work group. So if you are a person who is 18 to 25 years old and you've experienced juvenile probation in Monroe County, they are looking for input on how to improve juvenile probation. So you can email Christine McAfee, CMCAFEE @co.monroe.in.us, or check out the probation's website on the county website. And my last announcement, this is also not for the health department specifically, but a colleague at the city of Bloomington, they are providing a virtual mental health first aid training on May 19th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can register online or you can email Charles, CHARLES.CULP, Charles Culp at bloomington.in.gov, I believe, to register for that training that is going to be put on by Centerstone.
Wow.
Do you know if they'll hold another one of those in the future?
I
Or-
believe so. There was
Okay.
one that happened this week. And then he sent me the flyer for that one because it filled up so quickly. And I believe that there's another one scheduled for the following month, but I don't know the details on that one. But I would say email Charles for more information on that or
Thank
talk to
you.
somebody else in CFRD.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm really glad that kiosk is back there. Every time we drive by there and there's not one there, there's always means the inside is filled or trashed, so we haven't, it comes with an extra liner too, right?
It does not come with an extra liner, but there is a liner inside
That's
of
what I
it. So yes.
Now we can just switch it out when we go by.
Mhm. Yeah. Is there any other updates or should we move on to lunch and learns as the next item on our agenda? Okay, let's move on to lunch and learns. I guess we've got save the date. Is there any other information that we should know that's not already on the agenda, I suppose?
Okay, it's going to be on August 4th. Indiana Judges and Lawyers Assistance Project will be the ones doing the presentation. It's going to be at the Maurer School of Law. When I offered the idea of doing this, they just jumped on it. And all of a sudden, I'm getting emails, the School of Law over on campus. And they were just real excited about the idea. And so they're doing most of the work and cooperating with JLAP. And basically, all I did was just say, go together and, suggested that the only thing that I need is the Zoom information because I'm supposed to fill out a room reservation. They've already reserved the room. They've told me I don't have to worry about it, but there is a form to complete and they ask about the Zoom information and they'll even do some of the advertising and such. I want to invite, anybody who wants to show up, but really target the lawyers and practitioners in the community because this will be a way of us reaching to our clients as well. Because I'm pretty sure Karen also runs into a lot of people who have substance use issues that, create some legal issues for them. as well as some of our coworkers. And so we'll be advertising that. And one thing JLAP did want to know is they will be wanting to solicit donations from the attendees, just to do a little plug, because they do a scholarship for people who can get, additional assistance and such like that. And I told them that I would check to make sure that would be okay, that we probably won't, be able to do any sort of donation on something like that, but they, they were just wanting to know if they would be able to, mention that particular program as well. But they're going to give us 90 minutes of programming, and it looks like it'll be a good opportunity for them to get the word out. And hopefully there will be some students, law students, starting early. I know the incoming law school class won't be there, but anybody who's been in law school before knows you show up a week or so early, try to get a hold of the syllabus. So maybe they'll be able to attend that as well.
Do we have a title for their program?
Not sure yet, other than substance use issues.
From a
Getting
legal
help.
perspective?
Yeah, they do so many things that probably what will happen is they'll do a presentation and then open it up for questions, which will then just be lots of stuff.
It's called JLab.
JLAB.
It's on the
Judges
agenda.
and Lawyers Assistance Project or Program.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in your agenda.
If we could get some kind of title, it would help to push it out, I think. In addition to,
think if you check with them, they'll probably.
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like they're good about.
Yeah,
see,
then we
I
can
see.
help push it out.
I guess I'm kind of confused. So they'll be coming in. I mean, I love this. Don't get me wrong. So so JLab will be presenting about what they see, the issues and.
They
substance use
provide
are.
services for judges and lawyers and practitioners who have substance use problems, mental health issues,
Oh,
age-related issues. Basically, if you are an attorney, a person who is dealing in the legal field and you are struggling with an issue. So they deal specifically, this one will deal specifically with substance use issues. But, since that oftentimes relates to everything else, they have a pretty large program and it's all confidential. And we have some of our judges are liaisons, and I have actually talked to some of them because they will help with depression, they will help with substance use, they will help with age-related issues. One of the things I want to do is also get some information on the ethics, because attorneys are always looking for ethics CLEs, and we should be able to qualify for continuing legal education credits. And but one of the issues that I wanted to find out about too was, I've lost my train of thought, but
I have a quick question. So you mentioned the IU law students. So are the IU law students, because they are not like lawyers yet, are they able to receive any of the JLAP resources?
actually they are.
Okay.
That's one of the things that's why the law school is so happy to have a program, because they want to hook the law students up as soon as possible, knowing that there are resources to help deal with your issues. And I remember what I was saying, the one of the questions was also, there is an ethical requirement. Say Karen sees me coming into work drunk every day and I'm not able to function properly. She is supposed to report me to the disciplinary commission. A lot of times people are very leery about reporting, and so they're more quiet about it. So I want them to do in the ethics portion, discussing what our requirements are, what we can do, what our options are, so that we can get help to people without making everybody aware that there's an issue, and so that there's the confidentiality, and just making sure people can get the help they need.
That's nice. It's basically like rehab and for judges, right?
Mhm. Judges and lawyers.
Judges, and lawyers, that's pretty neat. And they're
law
coming to talk to us
school-
about that. That's,
The law school also,
yeah, what's,
I've been over there, I was over there the other day for something, and they actually have an in-house therapist now.
I
That's like a
imagine you
newer
have
thing.
to now,
So they
right?
have someone from, I think I can't remember the name of it. Is it CAPS? The thing at IU that has
Yeah.
like psychological
Counseling,
services. Yeah, the counseling. So the law school has someone from there that like comes specifically for the law students now too, which is kind of a definitely new since I was in law school.
Yeah.
But great, much needed.
Now, are they needing us to set up the Zoom for them? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, we
Through
will
the
need
county?
to have the Zoom information so that I can put that in the reservation. That's as soon as and I don't know anything about setting up Zoom, so I don't know if you can set one up that much in advance. And if we can, then I can provide them that information.
I think if you talk to tech services, you can ask them.
They just, the tech services is going to help JLAP do the presentation and such, but I think it's up to us to come up with the Zoom presentation. So, the Zoom connection.
I'll try to help facilitate, but also let's see if we can get cats there. Because that way it would be easier for people in the community
That would be
to
great.
access it both live and so I can try to remember to stop over there and fill out a form. They're really good about working with us.
Thank you for that. Also TSD, is there something in the chat? I just want to make sure that we're capturing whatever's there if it is relevant. I can't view it.
Screen is over there. We can't see it.
Okay.
Welcome, Steve.
Oh,
Thank you for being here.
oh yeah, there he is.
Um, Okay. Are there any other questions about the JLAP presentation? Any other clarifications that we need to move on? And I guess I also have on the agenda for October 2023, any do we want to move forward on one of those issues? I know that Nick, you were talking about maybe putting in some requests for some other what are they called? The big things where people come together and talk about resources. If maybe there would be something that we could talk about with IRA and the SSP. I don't know. Is that something that we would want to do in October? Do other people have other idea about October, or just hold off until the next meeting?
Can't
do that
remember
too.
what we talked about. I can't remember what we just, what do you mean? we
Well,
talked about?
if we held off to the next meeting, we would know about whether or not we have the
Let's do
extra
that.
grant and what impact that might have.
Let's do that.
Okay, great. We'll put that and table it for now. And then I guess next up on the agenda is Joni. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I was asked by Pete Iverson to attend to kind of give you an update on what the county is seeing in relation to drug overdose deaths. Recently, there was some data released to a couple of entities that had reached out for it over the last 5 years. So 2018 through 2022, they was specifically wanting drug-related deaths. So when Pete Iverson got a hold of that information, he reached out and he was like, this is very interesting. I think we need to address it. So here I am. To give you an idea, in 2018 is when the data starts for this particular area that I cover. In 2018, we had 28 total overdose deaths, 12 of those were containing fentanyl. In 2019, we had 26 overdose deaths. Only 5 of those contain fentanyl. Here's where it's probably going to make your head spin. In 2020, we had 51 overdose deaths, 36 contained fentanyl. In 2021, those numbers are 55 overdose deaths with 44 of them containing fentanyl. And in 2022, 64 overdose deaths with 45 of those containing fentanyl. Clearly, something between 2018 and 2020 happened because, like I said, in these stats, you can see that it went from, in 2019, 5 containing fentanyl, in 2020, 36 containing fentanyl. And when I say fentanyl, it's all the derivatives of fentanyl. There's acetafentanyl. A new novel substance is called florafentanyl that we're finding in these overdose deaths. norfentanyl. It's all derivatives of fentanyl, some of them being more potent or more powerful than the original fentanyl that has been being sold. Something we rarely see is heroin. We hardly see heroin. There is none anymore. It's fentanyl. A lot of these individuals that have passed away, we talked to family members and they said, well, their choice of drug was heroin. There's no heroin found in their system. It's fentanyl. So I'm assuming they're probably thinking they're buying heroin and they're actually being passed fentanyl. Methamphetamine mixed with fentanyl has also become an issue. Over the last couple of years, you see more and more positive for both methamphetamine and fentanyl. So I think Pete was wanting me to go over this just to give you an idea of what we're seeing out in the community, what's happening, what is the reason for the increase in overdose deaths. I can't tell you that. I don't know. It ranges in all age groups. It doesn't discriminate. And clearly fentanyl is a huge issue in our community. So I'm open for any questions. If anybody has any questions, I can try to answer them.
Were there any cofactors or were they all just fentanyl? Like, I mean, were there other substances found alongside fentanyl? Are you testing for xylazine?
So we use Axis Lab. That's who the State Coroners Association has used for, or the Indiana State Department of Health has reached out and said, if you use us in possible overdose cases, then we will absorb the cost. I do believe they test for xylazine. They test for over 400 substances in a toxicology testing through an autopsy. I have not personally seen any xylazine in our area. Florafentanyl, acetafentanyl. Florafentanyl is one of the newest ones that we've been seeing. There's also flualprazolam, which is a synthetic type of Xanax, benzodiazepine type drug. It's not near as prevalent as the florafentanyl or fentanyl or acetafentanyl, norfentanyl. Those are all, like I said, derivatives of fentanyl. But yeah, we do test for xylazine. To my knowledge, I reached out to Axis. They said they do, and we haven't seen any in our community, which is a blessing, but.
So I think I saw some data that indicated that we're seeing more overdose deaths in older individuals than we did several years ago. Is that correct?
The typical age, it doesn't discriminate. Let me just, I can tell you last year we had them as young as, 19, 20 years old, all the way up to the age of, I think 60, 57, 58, 60. I'm looking at my data now, 63. We had one at 63. We had one at 17 that died of a fentanyl toxicity. So, I mean, it doesn't discriminate. We do see them in the 30, 40, 50 year age range a lot. But as I stated, we are seeing them in as young as 17, as old as 65. I mean, anywhere in between.
Joni, I think I missed one of the numbers. For 2018, I thought you said 12, but I don't know which number was that.
In 2018, we had 28 total overdose related deaths. 12 of those contained fentanyl.
And then I know 2023 is not over yet, but do you have any numbers for 2023?
I do not. We try to update that as we go. I can tell you, we have seen a lot this year already. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me,
Sure.
but we have seen a lot. And when I say a lot, I think in 1 week we had 5.
Wow.
So, yeah. Something else we've seen this year that is kind of fairly new. We had 4, I believe it was, within a matter of 2-3 weeks time frame that passed away from a hemorrhagic stroke that was methamphetamine induced. So all of those individuals went in unresponsive to the hospital, was found to have had a head bleed and was positive for methamphetamine. That was worrisome because if it was, when they're making it and selling it, what are they putting in it? Right. So if this is something that these same individuals had all gotten this from the same person or from the same batch, as you call it, that maybe had something in it causing their head bleed. I mean, methamphetamine alone, the effects of it is enough to raise your blood pressure, enough to cause your blood vessels to be under a lot of pressure. Obviously, that is something that could happen as a ruptured vessel, especially in your brain. But it was kind of concerning when I saw that 4 of them in a short amount of time. We couldn't trace anything back to showing that they knew each other or anything like that. So
Were there other trace substances, like that you were able to find, that could have made the symptoms worse, and like that's why there were the stroke, or are strokes
No.
common with this type of overdose?
So as I stated, with methamphetamine, it's a stimulant. So it causes your blood pressure to raise. Depending on how long you have been using it, or it depends on how it's affecting everything, right? Or how much you use. If you are a person that, uses it daily, it causes your blood pressure to elevate because it increases the workload on the heart. Over time, it's going to affect all your vessels and not just your heart, or, so did these other ones that died, did they have comorbidities to cause it? No. I mean, high blood pressure, but high blood pressure is also a side effect of methamphetamine. So it's hard to say, did they have high blood pressure if they had never used methamphetamine, or was it caused by the methamphetamine? There's no way to figure that out. A lot of these fentanyl overdoses, by the way, to go down, I would have to go down the whole entire list of all of these drug overdoses and just say this one was fentanyl by itself. A lot of them had other substances as well. Fentanyl being the primary source. The other ones had, alprazolam or cocaine or methamphetamine, that type. I mean, there was other substances found, but the ultimate factor was the fentanyl.
Do you see any gender differences in those numbers?
I would say I see more males. I mean, there are a lot of females, but I would say that it's probably about 65% males.
And you say it
It
double.
probably depends on the year too. It doesn't discriminate. It varies. We had, I would say about 65 to 35%, close to it. I think Pete might have, he's got his hand raised.
Yeah, thanks, Joni. We are working with our GIS division here in the county government to develop a dashboard so you can see all of these data at a glance. We should be able to have that ready for next month's meeting, but we need to run all this past Joni, because Joni, you've got a lot of things that we need to keep in mind about what's public and what's not, and what's confidential and what's not. So I just wanted to say that we should be able to have that dashboard for next meeting.
Steve has his hand raised too.
Yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know, I don't know if anybody's heard about this, if we're done talking about some of this. There is another drug out there that we found last week that's a synthetic fentanyl called M30. That is supposedly 100 times more lethal than fentanyl itself. And we actually had a drug court participant admit to using some of it, and there's no way to test for it out there on the market at this point in time that I understand. but it's a very, very dangerous drug. And I don't know if that has anything to do with some of the overdoses, Jonah, that you were talking about, but it very well could, because it's a very extremely dangerous synthetic opioid, fentanyl.
Yeah, and with no way to test for it, that makes it even more difficult. I don't know if it would be showing positive for a different type of fentanyl, because fentanyls, I mean, I know there's the chemical breakdown, there's like a molecule through difference in the chemical breakdown. So I don't know if it would like throw a false positive for a regular fentanyl versus, you know what I mean?
That would be my guess, is that it would throw up an initial general emit test positive for fentanyl, but cannot be confirmed for fentanyl because there's no fentanyl in it. But that would be my guess as well.
Yeah. This year alone, we had 3 individuals so far that have passed away. I shouldn't say this year because it started the end of last year. We've had 3 individuals, their levels of fentanyl was just unbelievable. I've never seen it that high. And we don't know why. I mean, a normal finding for a drug overdose is anywhere from, 2 to 3 nanograms per milliliter all the way up to 20-25. That's a natural finding, not a natural, but a normal finding in a toxicology report when we send off for testing in individuals that have passed away. These 3 individuals, one was almost 100 nanograms per milliliter, another one was over 200 nanograms per milliliter, another one was 150. That's just not normal. Not normal. It's not a normal finding for us in an overdose death. It was just, I actually turned it over to the Bloomington Police Department. I said, I don't know if maybe somebody hot shotted them with something. I don't know, but this really needs to be looked into, because that's not somebody just trying to get their fix. That's like any other time I would rule it a suicide. And I ruled it undetermined because I can't say for certain what happened.
Did you say that there's a new opiate? Did I miss that? That you're talking about a non-fentanyl new opiate that you're talking about? Was that what you had said, or just a stronger version of what?
It's a synthetic fentanyl, M30.
M30, you said?
Yes.
Okay, do you mean like the Percocet 30s?
It's a synthetic is all I know it is. And you can Google it and pull it up.
Okay.
I don't believe it's any other type of controlled substance.
We had been seeing another one called ISO, and I think this is what's going to happen for a while. A lot of us in harm reduction are trying to get around this because we don't see any letting up in the synthetic opioids coming in until we can get around not prosecuting and regulating the supply and taking the cartel out of the business, which can't seem to be done by force. Then we could get these things underway, and give people a stable supply. It's not just that. Like I'm not surprised to hear these, Joni. I remember when I read it once and it doubled in a year, right? Wasn't it like, jumped up to 54 from like 26 to 54, right? Was that 2020 or 2020? Yeah.
From 2019 to 2020, it made a huge jump.
Yeah. And is it still rising, or is it leveling out at 54 or something?
No, it's rising. Last year it was over 60.
And I don't think we'll see any less than that, because we're stuck in a weird situation where we're going to have to rethink how we address the entire scope of drug use in America. And I don't know if America's ready for that, but it's definitely the scariest thing we've seen. Even in harm reduction, we scream and yell that like this is a polluted drug supply. Please, 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 and there is one good tool in the fight, and that's the drug checking machines that people are utilizing. And we've literally seen people throw their drugs in the trash that were tainted with other things. So hopefully something like that will come here, and we'll be able to at least protect our community in that way. And I'm sorry you have to count death all day.
For those that are on Zoom that don't have access to our agenda, I do want to point out that Joni is the Monroe County coroner. And this is one of the things that she's tasked with, but also one of the items that we asked for in this additional grant was a Fournier. Anyway, it's a spectrometer that can test drugs. FTIR, right. Okay. Fournier, something infrared spectrometer so that people can bring in, say, a container that they got their drug in and have it tested, because it can test extremely minute amounts. And one of the things I wanted to talk about later is, if we don't get that grant, what does this group recommend that the county use its opioid settlement money for? And if we don't get the grant with that, I would love to see the county step up and use some of our opioid settlement money to not only pay for that machine and the ongoing supplies, but the halftime person that we envision would be needed to staff that. But that's me. But again, if we don't get the money, I think it would be a strong statement from this group to help make a difference in our community.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're really incredible machines, and some of the health departments that have been able to make them work in other parts of the county, or not the county, the country, are able to, like Nick said, I mean, really test those different types of adulterants that are beyond just fentanyl and the fentanyl test strips. So
It's changing the game places. Chicago was one of the first places that instituted it. And, mind you, you're not bringing in usually these big chunks of drugs. It's an infinitesimal amount that, you can even get a certain solution that you can put the drug in that makes it that no one can do it. It's inert. It has no properties. It's nothing, and still test for it. It's harder, but you can do it. And, from then they have seen, whole slews of people stopping going to areas in town to get drugs, the people shutting dealers down that are producing stuff like this. I mean, it works, it's a technology that works. And if nothing else, it informs people of what they're ingesting, because sometimes they may not, maybe they want fentanyl and they got used to it and they like it. But once you hear something like xylazine or dewormer or quinine or any of these horrible, or Augmentin or any of these thousands of really horrible dilutants that are in it, that can change somebody's mind. So, yeah.
I want to ask Joni's opinion on something. Another thing that we've talked about is making fentanyl test strips more accessible to the community. What's your feeling about that?
So I would say that fentanyl test strips serve a purpose, and I'm happy to push them out there. We carry them right now. We also carry xylazine test strips because that's one of the main things we're worried about now. The problem with fentanyl test strips is that they may, first of all, when they first came out, they were made to use as urine tests, right? So it's like they've been co-opted into this other type of business that they weren't made for. So you get a lot of false positives, a lot of false negatives. My view is that and I'm just going to let me be creative here for a second, but if John and Linda, college student, go get a bag of Coke and test it, and that thing says positive for fentanyl, and they don't do Coke that weekend, no harm, no foul, nothing lost. Do you see what I'm saying? So if it can help somebody, drugs have inherent harms of their own, let alone that, at least it can help for that. What it does do is it opens up conversations about talking about what you just talked about, these FTIR machines, drug checking, data and stuff like that. So for the most part, we try to use them as, explaining that yes, they work for certain things, but they don't sell percentage. So they're good for people who don't use opiates. Unfortunately, people who use opiates are now dependent on a supply that is fentanyl. So they're not going to care if there's fentanyl in it, they know it. But if they knew there was a deadly amount of fentanyl in it, that might slow their roll, So that's why these things are all so important, But yeah, so they definitely play a part. I mean, definitely. And the easier access to places like schools, and especially in the college, that's where I try to push them the most, is if you're experimenting and you're in an experimenting phase, no one should have to die when they're experimenting, or at least they can say, I'm not going to experiment with this drug because it has this in it, So first pass, stuff like that, then yeah, I really see that that's where they're the most useful.
Honey,
Joni,
I think that theoretically, yes, we would hope that it would show us a positive decline, right, in overdose deaths, because as he stated, those that are going out and just experimenting, if they had a way to test it and know the outcome if they use it. So, the possible outcome. So yeah, I mean, I think that is a positive for the community, especially when our numbers are so high right now. It's not going to hurt anything to do that. It's going to hopefully cause our numbers to decline. I think one overdose death is too many, and I think we all agree with that. So if it would prevent 10 overdose deaths from
Good.
fentanyl,
Yeah.
then you know what I mean? Also, as I sit here and think over the past couple of years and what has caused this explosion of fentanyl, there's several things that come to mind, but one thing that particularly comes to mind when I look at the other substances, doctors have quit writing prescriptions for narcotics. They have, looked at these people that were doctor shopping to get narcotics and stop supplying them with their medications. So they're trying to find something to replace that. And when they go out and replace that, it's usually fentanyl what they find. So, that may have something to do with why our numbers have increased drastically.
It's directly exactly why we have the overdose crisis now. It's not Purdue. It's not, I mean, they helped, but like an entire nation was taking, pain pills. It had been chupped as the fifth vital sign. Most people weren't abusing them. Most people were taking them responsibly. Construction workers, dock workers, all these very, very responsibly taking these drugs, then exit those drugs, and no help from the government to say, hey, listen, you're going to be pushed off, or the doctors saying, hey, you're going to be pushed off these drugs you've been stable on for 10 years, 5 years. You're going to feel something called withdrawal. Here's this you can go to. Here's MAT. Here's buprenorphine. Here's whatever it is. Nothing. And that's what spiked the overdose crisis. A great article just came out of Johns Hopkins talking about that. It was like what we saw is direct correlation to what you just said is exactly what spiked the numbers. So I'm glad you said that.
And just a brief interject. It's 12:52, and I just want to be respectful of folks' time and make sure that we've got, if there's any other of the components, and maybe we can hop back if there's other questions at the very end. Go for it. The next thing that we had on the agenda was CFRD update from Beverly. I don't see her on the call right now. Is anybody else here for CFRD this evening? Okay. CARES grant update. Steve, do you have anything that you'd like to add to the agenda?
thank you very much, Joni. Thank you for
Yes,
your.
thanks, Joni.
Yes. Oh, sorry, I didn't.
Thank you,
mean to-
Joni.
You can hang on the call. I'm
Thanks,
just trying to
Joni.
get through everything in 5 minutes, so I apologize for that.
I'll just give an
You
update.
know it's here too,
Oh,
so,
Sorry.
yeah.
I'll give an update on CARES. We had our monthly meeting yesterday. We do have 11 grant applicants. And we will be doing the scoring and allocation around May. Is that correct, Kathy? I mean, I think that's what we discussed, correct?
Yes, that's great.
That's all I got.
All right, thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. We love CARES.
Penny, do you have anything for the opioid settlement update?
No, but like I said, I think after we hear what happens May 1st, that then this group ought to say, put it on their agenda to talk about how they would recommend the county use any extra opioid settlement money on an ongoing basis. But we'll be shooting off firecrackers, right, if we get the full $1 million that we ask for. and Nick has promised to name a van after me. So
Penny is definitely coming.
but I feel really optimistic, especially after talking with the woman at the state a couple of days ago.
We are the same thing.
Awesome. Thank you for that. The next thing on the agenda was the CHIP update with me. So we met this week for our substance use and mental health connections group. So we're just getting started on the process of doing interviews with service providers and also folks with lived experience. So if you are a person who is interested in participating, knowing what we're up to in the CHIP group updates, you can go to the Monroe County website. You can go to CHIP Kickoff and you can click on the substance use and mental health component, and it has all of the previous agendas and what we're working on. You can also email me at mvehslage@co.monroe.in.us if you would like to talk more, or if you'd like to be interviewed. We're looking to create a map, so we're just getting that started. Next thing on the agenda is National Recovery Month 2023. Penny, do you have anything for that?
Not at this point. Do you have anything, Kathy?
Okay. I guess I should stop back. I should ask if anybody has questions on the last couple of things that we blew through. Okay. Then the 2024 Educational Summit Report. So update on issuing a request for qualifications for a summit facilitator. Thank you. Do we have any updates or things that we need to discuss about that, or should we table that for the next meeting as well? Table it. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. The next thing on the agenda is approval of minutes. Did everybody have a chance to check through the minutes? And we've got 6 folks that are here in the room. So I guess, does somebody want to, I think you have to, make a motion and then we
Make a
approve.
motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Does anybody
second
second? Awesome. All right, let's have a vote. All in favor of accepting those minutes to be posted to the county website. I'll say aye.
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 Great. Yes. Okay, perfect. Ayes have it. They are approved. Is there anything else that we have before adjourning? It looks like we've got the meeting location in the county council conference room at the county courthouse next time. We'll need 6 people in person. It'll also be available on Zoom, and that's May 19th, same time, 12 to 1 p.m.
Well done, Melanie.
56. We've got 4 minutes remaining. We don't have to adjourn. We can still keep talking if anybody's got questions for Joni or anybody else in the room today. Thanks for joining us, Peter.
I'm sending out a link to everybody. There was a very long article in the Limestone Post about the opioid settlement money and how it might be used. So I thought you all might like to see that.
All right.
Again,
Well,
thank you, Joni.
else?
These are startling numbers.
Yeah. And thank you so much for sharing. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right. 12:57, meeting adjourned. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, TSD.